devil incarnate.
Max Payne is so cool. They got away with basic, bold, all-caps red Arial as their logo, and it's iconic. I know. It's technically machine medium by Adobe, but let's be real. You wouldn't have noticed if I switched them around. How's that for a hook? Huh? Talking about fonts? That's gonna get this video going with the attention deficit, aka 98% of the world's population. Not you though. You're great. Together, we'll take over the world. Keychain in one hand and Subway Surfers in the other. I can say whatever I want. I'll never live up to that intro, so might as well get into it. In 1997, Remedy teamed up with now creative director Sam Lake to cook up a bullet time pioneer of the video game genre. It was flashy, stylish, and ripped cool, noir, and melodrama out of every orifice. It's important to remember that brainstorming started in 1997, and bullet time was a gameplay necessity to recreate the stylings of John Woo gun fu movies. So there is a possibility that Remedy came up with the idea before The Matrix, but then undercut it when they clearly also took inspiration from that on their way to the first game's 2001 release. This video will cover the Remedy era of the franchise, Max Payne 1 and Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne. Max Payne 3 will most likely get its own video, sometimes way too late after this, but I will mention some aspects about it for a very important reveal in Act 3. It's spectacular. It's gonna blow your mind. Hint? Let's say it has something to do with divergent timelines and player agency in video games. So without further ado... Yeah, 2001, critical acclaim, it changed the face of third-person shooters, blah blah. I'll get into all of that as we go through the narrative. The game separates itself in parts that are then separated in short 15 to 20 minute chapters, so I guess that kind of formatting will have to do. I usually just categorize different talking points into their own sections, but given the double feature nature of this video, it's better to just talk about what's worth talking about as the story unfolds. But before we get into any of that, this one does need some mandatory maintenance. Out of the box, it's unplayable. Quite literally. Looking for a guide might land you fixing hex codes, running DG voodoo wrappers, and uninstalling and reinstalling the game 20 times for no payoff. Here you go. One installer. Fixes everything. Modular, you can choose whatever you like. I'd skip the AI texture enhancements. I also skipped the difficulty unlocks. This game's worth replaying. The guide looks daunting, but it's to be thorough. Just run the installer in the default Max Payne folder and you're good to go.
Standby 1010, investigator reported disturbance at Acer Plaza.
10-4 dispatcher, verify address.
It's Acer Plaza, repeat, Acer Plaza.
Dispatcher, need additional units. Additional units now. Officer in danger. Officer in danger.
10-5, please repeat. 10-5, all units, emergency. Officer in danger. Acer Plaza, repeat. Acer Plaza, all units.
They were all dead. The final gunshot was an exclamation mark to everything that had led to this point. I released my finger from the trigger. And then it was over.
So we start in medias res, because this is noir and they're contractually obligated, but before that, let's talk about how the game looks. This intro is pretty stylish, even considering the dated character models and general assets. There's a big difference between graphics and art direction, and one of them is vastly more important. For me, the mark of whether the game holds up is a slider, asking how much imagination do I need to understand all of this. Max Payne can sometimes make you laugh when the developer actually wants you to cry. I won't parrot the same joke, that Max's face looks like he's permanently constipated, but I do believe it doesn't match his voice.
You'd make me work undercover in some hellhole. Sorry, Alex. Michelle and the baby come first.
Look at this animation of him pulling out his gun. Everybody uses the same one. But all that being said, you still feel the wintertime New York vibes. The scope, the grime, it's all there. All you need are some neon signs and some back alleys. Perfect. So, dated? Yes, but the feel holds up great. After that opening, we go back in time to 3 years ago. Part 1, The American Dream. Oh, I bet. White picket fence, happy family, all smiles and sunshine. I'm 2 days away from retirement. Well, actually it's, I'm not joining your dangerous assignments team. I got a family to take care of. Yeah, I'm sure everything will be just fine.
No, please God, no. No!
Hope you didn't throw that business card away, Max. Jokes aside, this is a really brutal way of opening your game. Quite ambitious for the time, actually. It could easily have turned people off. But you don't really get to wallow in Max's misery for now, because we have 3 years of story to catch up. So he goes back to Alex for his spot on the DEA, and 3 years later he's undercover, working within the Punchinello crime family, following a lead on Valkyr, or V, the drug the perps that killed his family were on. The lead points towards Jack Lupino, one of the underbosses of the family and resident nutcase. We get a phone call from BB, his only other frequent contact from the DEA, telling Max to meet Alex down at the Roscoe Street metro station for an update. So you get all that? No? Good. Now, Max Payne is a notoriously hard shooter, even on Fugitive, the first difficulty, but I'll get into that later. Why it's important to mention now is because games back then didn't really like holding your hand with brain-dead tutorials and prompts. There's a tutorial in the menu, but getting caught clicking on it will have your gamer license revoked, so I wouldn't fuck around. We can do some experimenting instead. So you can open up all sorts of lockers, cupboards, and boxes to find weapons, ammo, and pills, and you're gonna need them, but there's no indication that you can do so. You can also interact with the environment for basically no utility other than it was pretty novel at the time. We also get into the first proper fights, but not before highlighting another important part of the game's presentation.
Isn't Jake supposed to take care of this? He and Mickey are having too much fun taking care of the cop up there. Oh, well, what's the plan? Simple. Gun down every mother-loving bastard that gets off the train.
Where most games have enemies just sitting around doing nothing, most of the ones in Max Payne are having conversations, doing errands,
Green? No, not the green.
or generally messing around. This helps the world feel more alive and lived in, on top of helping dilute some of the bleak tone of the game. You also find other helpful NPCs that you'll need to open a path. This security guard has the code for an access panel that was closed before, but he goes above and beyond to teach us another important lesson. Do not stand in front of doors you open. Very important. So after some more killing, looting, an early 2000s sewer level, and running a fucking train through a blockade, we finally do reach Alex just in time for more trauma.
Hold it. Max, Jesus, you almost gave me a heart attack. I nearly shot you.
Alex, I'm glad to see you.
What the hell's going on? There are more corpses here than at the city morgue.
It's an armed robbery, a tunnel job straight to the Roscoe Bank vault through the old station wall. Is this why? This is Lupino's gig?
This is Lupino's doing? Lupino's men? Really?
You sure know how to pick a place. Can you get through?
No, it's locked. We gotta get out of here. If it's Lupino, it's...
Alex? Alex!
Now, the game itself undercuts this event quite a bit, but we get the intended stakes from the following cutscene.
Alex had kept me relatively sane for the past 3 years. Now I didn't know how I felt. Somehow he had stumbled upon something big and ended up stepping on Jack Lupino's toes. Lupino ran his racket of sex, drugs, and contract killings from a sleazy hotel in a slum block of tenements. The NYPD was closing in. I could hear the sirens. Their wail was a crescendo. Lupino thought he could get us by taking Alex out and leaving me to take the fall for it. All he had gotten was my attention.
We apparently got framed for Alex's murder, you know, because it definitely couldn't have been the 50 or so hobos that we killed throughout the entire station. This is somewhat realistic because only Alex and the other unseen guy BB know that Max is undercover. It's also somewhat appropriate that Max doesn't end up that emotional over Alex's death. The guy is just kinda dead inside since the game started, and you can get that from the excellent narration. Alex was more of an anchor for Max, and now that it's loose, paired up with the NYPD being on his trail, we can start pursuing the Lupino lead more recklessly. We start in one of his hotels, greeted by some goons, the Finito brothers. This is a good time to get into that voice acting because it's great throughout.
I went for the hotel first. It was a sad old thing with flickering lamps and faded colors, cheap mobster punks and tired-eyed prostitutes. I walked straight in, playing at Bogart, like I'd done 100 times before. The place was run by a couple of murdering mobsters with shark smiles. The Finito brothers.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the pain in the butt. Pain to the max.
You're killing me. Did you make that up yourselves, or you get some wino downstairs to come up with it? Don't answer that. A rhetorical question. I got something for the boss. Lupino around?
That kind of depends on who's asking. A friend or a junk squad plan. Don't answer. It's one of them, how do you put it, rhetorical questions. Lupino ain't here, but he said bye.
The balance between the late James McCaffrey's melancholic noir inner musings and outer sarcastic contempt is perfect, and it especially works to contrast the general New York gangster ham we have outside of it. So someone ratted Max out and blew his cover, but before we continue, I mentioned the tone before. What really stops Max Payne from collapsing inside its own ass is that despite that intro and Max's general predisposition to melodramatic monologues and self-sabotage, the game itself is pretty damn funny.
Ladies, Lady Amelia, Marquis Valentine asks for an audience.
Thank you, Lawrence.
My lady.
My lord.
And now, in all new episode
Hey,
of
hey.
Lords and Ladies, brought to you in
Down in front.
by
What the
Acer
fuck?
Corporation.
I was watching that.
My lord.
My
Fucking
lady, there is a
jerks.
matter of great importance I must bring to your attention.
My lord, there is?
Indeed, my lady, there is indeed. From the very first moment we met, upon that distant forest path, there has been sunlight in the autumn leaves blazing like the colors of your hair.
Oh, my lord, you should not speak so.
But my lady, I must.
My lord, no. I forbid you. This cannot be. This must not be.
But why, my love, why?
My lord, it is too dreadful. Do not force me to speak the words.
My lady, I beg of you, I must know. I would rather die than not know.
Yes, my lord, we should both be dead, for this shame is too great for the living. My lord, I am your long-lost sister.
It has this playful tone throughout, being just serious enough for you not to think it's a parody, but mostly aiming not to kill the fun you have with the shooting either. Speaking of shooting, this is also where the fugitive difficulty starts picking up. Now, this style of difficulty is actually interesting, in theory. It's supposed to reflect your performance, going up as you do well and down when you die. The problem is that it doesn't work very well. In the first level, you can stand there getting shot constantly, and you'll die, eventually. In Chapter 3, it's 2 shots and you're dead. The sliver of HP you get back if you're almost dead doesn't cover being hit by pretty much anything anymore. I'm not sure if this is related, but the enemies also start leading their shots and getting spongier, even when it doesn't really make any sense for them to be. All of this combined put fear into the hearts of gamers in 2001 and cemented Max Payne as one of the most difficult shooters of all time. But it's wrong. 2 reasons. 1, it's mostly self-inflicted. Between bullet time and slow-mo bullet dodge, you want to always be in the action. You want to look cool, you want that montage clip, but they won't let you. Enemies leading their shots means you're basically a sitting duck while in the air. Falling to the ground leaves you actually vulnerable, sitting in place for around 2 seconds. Painkillers regenerate your life slowly. If you're doing well, by the end of Chapter 3, you're getting 1-tapped by shotguns and 2-tapped by everything else. The difficulty does go down if you let the death scene complete, but it's very fucking long, and you're gonna have to do it consistently because the difficulty will go back up again. So it's optimal to either peek shoot very fast, even though the enemies like pre-firing quite a lot, or simply wait for enemies to come running past the door, because the AI in Max Payne is extremely aggressive. Which is fucking boring. Or, number 2, you can play Dark Souls instead. One of the other things the manual doesn't tell you is that rolling normally to the side or back makes you immune to damage, and it works consistently, until it doesn't. The goons can still line their shot randomly to hit you in that split second between rolls, but it happens very rarely. The bigger problem is that doing this looks very dumb. It almost feels like the developers are making fun of you for not playing the game properly.
He is an idiot. We have purposely trained him wrong, as a joke.
But it is very effective, and probably the only way to play on the higher difficulties. The other downside is that you can't shoot while rolling, so you get exactly 1 second to fight back at a time. This makes pump-action shotgun the ultimate tool for this strategy, both because it provides the most shots per shot, and also because you don't have to reload it every 0.3 seconds like the sawed-off. It comes online perfectly between rolls, just remember to reload it before going into a fight. So we finito the Finito brothers and work ourselves up towards Rico Muerte. This guy gets built up like he's the Grim Reaper himself. He's supposed to help Lupino with a big exchange as a favor repayment to Don Punchinello.
The letter in Muerte's room was signed by the Don himself. It was the first hint that the Kingpin knew what was brewing inside his syndicate.
The trouble you got into after the Chicago screw-up. The Punchinello family bailed you out. You have been waiting for a chance to pay us back.
There's some nice background storytelling here, with the girls recording important people through dilute posters for blackmail fodder later, but it does get undermined a bit when it's also spelled out directly with the clue in the same room.
The diary belonged to a hooker named Candy Dawn. The read would have made a vice cop blush. She had a nice sideline, making secret X-rated flicks of her clients and selling them to the highest bidder.
We eventually find Rico getting head from a prostitute, and I just love this scene.
Two mad dog killers, ready to murder each other. They step into the next room, and I'm thinking, now they're gonna do it. But no. They sit down in front of a TV and solve their differences with the kung fu fighting video game. I tell you, Candy, I was so depressed, I strangled them both with the video game cables.
Oh, Rico, you're so bad.
I am, ain't I?
Aw, look at Chubby Cheeks over here. Such a jock, teaching those nerds a lesson. Fucking LARPer. She's a prostitute, my dude. She doesn't actually like you. She just pretends to, so you give her more money. So after all that boogeyman Baba Yaga hype, our intrepid hero, Rico Muerte, runs away, heroically, with his pants all the way down. Well, he has time to organize himself. I gotta deal with these goons first. Okay, let's find this guy. Damn, his pants are still down. Well, whatever. He doesn't need dignity. In hell. I was kind of hoping to get him to talk, but it doesn't matter since I get what I need pretty soon.
There was an old telephone switchboard in the back room of the reception area. The kind that made phone tapping child's play. It wasn't hard to picture a fat pimp sweating with headphones on, listening to his hookers talk dirty and fake orgasms over a web of party lines. The blood veins of New York.
The writing in this is so good. Very pulpy.
Groans going on.
Boss, Cornelia, this is Max Payne. The game started capitalist. He killed him.
Are you freaking kidding me? He's just one lousy cop. You better be freaking kidding me. Whack him. What's the freaking problem?
Next stop, Vinny Gognetti.
Vinny Gognetti. Just the man I've been killing to see.
Payne? Freaking Fed! I knew from day one there was something screwy about you. What do you think you're doing? You're a freaking cop. You ain't got squad on us. You can't just come in here waving your piece like it meant something. Yeah! Oh my God! Oh God, you shot me! Ah! You're dead, Payne! What the hell are you waiting for, you apes? Kill him! Kill him!
Legendary. But we can't really stop to admire too much since we have some other business to attend to immediately.
Gognetti bailed. I made like Chow Yun Fat.
Lupini's quite a son of a bitch, huh? He takes that stomach hole like a champ. Even when we finally catch up, he still takes those shots like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet and someone else is paying. You might not like it, but this is what peak male performance looks like.
Gagniti ran out of steam in a dead-end alley with steam boiling out of the sewer grates like all the fires of hell were burning high beneath us. It was shakedown time. Where's Lupino?
Screw you!
Bad start, Vinny.
Ah! Police brutality!
I rate pretty high on that.
You can't just hurt me in cold blood?
Just keep telling yourself that. There was no glory in this. I hadn't asked for this crap. Trouble had come to me in big dark swarms. The good and the just were like gold dust in the city. I had no illusions. I was not one of them. I was no hero. Just me and the gun and the crook. My options had decreased to a singular course.
I'll tell you, just don't hurt me no more. Lupino's at Ragnarok, the nightclub. Book me, take me home into the freaking jail, just don't hurt me.
Your rights will be ready at your funeral.
So we're off to Ragnarok, and before we get into the climax of part 1, there's another interesting thing here I wanted to talk about. Some of the more attentive viewers might have noticed the occasional reference to Nordic mythology. It's actually not that subtle.
The blurb on the back mentioned Norse mythos and Ragnarok, the end of a Viking world with a terrible winter that covered the earth in ice, when vile crimes were rampant and all humanity lost.
A lot of people tend to start looking for parallels and foreshadowing and all the ways in which this fits with the narrative while also blowing pattern-seeking behavior out of proportion. This is not that. Here, it's what we in the industry call writing flair, or flavor lure. It's a very clever way to subconsciously give the audience just a bit more than what they paid for. You're gonna go, damn, this place is cool. Very gothic. What was it? Ragnarok's? It sounds familiar. Next thing you know, you're on Google and then bam! 20 pieces of worthless trivia to annoy your friends and family with. Max Payne does this all the time, between movie references that inspired it.
The password. John Woo.
Come on. Okay, John Woo.
All right.
Alongside movie references that will inspire them in the future.
And the flamingo speaks again. I have no idea what that means.
It was pretty novel at the time. Believe it or not, back in the day, the medium wasn't as established as it is today. Developers often worked on shoestring budgets, which is also the reason why we have noir graphic novel panels in this that ended up working way better than any 12-poly cutscene ever could have. There simply was no go-to best practice yet, so something as simple as hire a writer to write was a pretty revolutionary idea. Often, people would pull double duty and write whatever while also working on the coding team, or bringing people coffee. After all, it's video games. Story is a bonus, just make it fun.
Did I just do that? Well, definitely.
So when you hire a literature major to write your script and he actually knows how to, write and shit, it tends to land pretty well. So no, Valkyr doesn't literally take you to Valhalla, nor is it supposed to, and Lupino is definitely not getting his ass to Valhalla. He's been cooking up some weird mixed religion shit on the satanic side, sacrificing people to different gods.
Jack Lupino was crazy, all right.
Mythic wolves, let loose to devour the sun and the moon. Lupino is the wolf. I'm Mr. Beast, the big bad Fenris wolf. I'm the end of the world, man, wearing the flesh of fallen angels.
He's kinda like that guy from The Mummy, but also completely off his rocker.
The flesh of fallen angels! Come to me all! Astaroth, Beelzebub, Asmodeus, Baphomet, Lucifer, Loki, Satan, Cthulhu, Lilith, Ella! Blood to you all! I'm the wolf, yeah! I am the wolf!
Well, it's a climax alright. There's a lot of goons and fire. Vertical fights sure are annoying, but not as annoying as they will be.
Lupino's pumped up and dying to go 15 rounds with a mutant alligator. And then he started this spooky monkey talk, straight from a bad dream. Mine.
I have tasted the flesh of fallen angels. Die! You'll die! You'll die!
Lupino takes the usual heavy beating, and it's done. We've won.
When Lupino finally went down, I wanted to make real sure he'd stay that way. V was a bad monster. Turned them into friggin' zombie demons from outer space.
I think he's dead already.
Huh?
Perfect timing. I was about to roll credits. Turns out, Lupino wasn't the kingpin after all. We're after the big cheese himself, Angelo Punchinello. Mona's pretty easy on the eye. I wonder if she'll be relevant later. Max seems to agree, since he loses around 98% of his brain cells and actually takes a drink from her, 5 seconds after she had her gun pointed at his stupid, horny head. Must be the not getting laid for 3 years business. It's not even the drugs that do it in this scene. It's bad blood distribution.
The nightmare was always the same. Violent shapes moving in darkness, old and ugly. The killer's mad laughter was a riddle filled with wicked innuendo. Somewhere, the baby was crying.
Appropriately for noir, we start our middle point with a drugged-up dream sequence, and it's a brilliant piece of player-character team building. This section is a nightmare in the game, and a nightmare in real life too. Who doesn't want to run through an incoherent maze in eye strain of vision while a woman is screaming and a baby is crying in IMAX surround sound? Perfect. Now, 3D platforming is pretty bad. 3D platforming in games from 2001 is pretty goddamn bad. 3D platforming in slow motion while on a tightrope in Max Payne is a fucking war crime. But I will give it props. Max is probably having a really bad time right now. And so am I. It's also important for character building, since we find out 2 extremely important things about Max. The first is that his wife did try to tell him about the Valkyr paper that led to their deaths, and it's one of the reasons why Max is filled with self-hatred, but an important note is that she was very blasé about it.
An army dossier found its way to my desk yesterday. Valhalla? Isn't that a Norse myth? Something about Vikings? I tried to tell Max about it, but he was busy, that cute frown on his brow. Guess it's nothing, just a mix-up at the courier service.
It wasn't a cry for help, it was just interesting trivia. So this plants the seed in your head that Max is probably blowing his fault in this whole matter way out of proportion.
Murderer! You killed her!
What? Were you gonna send her in witness protection because she found a piece of paper with Valkyr mentioned on it? I mean, I'm sure just having the knowledge would have changed things, but I don't think it would have been by that much. The second important trait is that Max has exactly 2 brain cells, and they're fighting for 3rd place.
My head felt 2 sizes too small for my brain.
Max Payne. I envy your name.
And the killer was smiling.
Pleased to meet you. I'm Frankie the Bat Niagara.
Niagara, as in you cry a lot? He had a baseball bat and I was tied to a chair. Pissing him off was the smart thing to do.
He doesn't actually die, the chair breaks and we can get our revenge.
But when somebody decides to play baseball with your head, you tend to get sore. Without a gun, I'd be no match for Frankie's men. I'd have to play hide and seek with them. Without a gun, I'd be no match for Frankie's men. True to his words, Frankie was there, having a beer.
Jesus Christ. How the hell did you get loose?
Got bored waiting. Thought, what the hell, we could just as well finish this here.
Fine by me. This works out just as well.
Without a gun, I'd be no match for Frankie's men. Without a gun, I'd be no match for Frankie's men.
With that taken care of, we still have our target, Angelo Punchinello, but that one might be a bit harder to reach than some lunatic in a goth club. However, Lady Luck smiles our way, once again.
Bang. You're dead, Max Payne.
I might have laughed if I remembered how.
At this point, the story starts to sag a little bit in part 2. We're supposed to help Vlad with some of his competition in exchange for all the weapons and ammo Max could ever carry.
Punchinello messing with V is bad for business all around. There is this guy, Boris Stein, used to pull jobs for me. He's the captain of the cargo ship Charon. The ship's loaded with high-res hardware, guns, my business. If Punchinello gets hold of that cargo, he's won and I have lost. If you want to get to Punchinello, you'll need heavy-duty persuaders. Change the ship back under my flag, maybe pop 2 in the traitor Dime's head while you're at it. You'll get enough guns to start the apocalypse. You in or out?
Now, while this is all perfectly fine and realistic, in the logic of the game, I've been stuffing Ingram ammo down my pants since the game started. I really don't think this is necessary. But we've established that Max likes making bad choices just as much as he likes Advil.
Let's get this show on the road. Vladimir was one of those old-time bad guys with honor and morals, which made him almost one of the good guys. None of us was a saint.
So his justification for doing this is that since he's not a hero, then Vlad having decent morals and honor for a criminal makes him almost one of the good guys. Perfect logic. Sure, Vlad, I'll help you kill your competition, set a monopoly on the weapon black market, and gain way more power than you should ever be allowed to have. Hope you don't end up backstabbing me later, wink. So we end up dealing with the Charon problem. Get it? Charon? Because it's an arsenal ship, so what's on it sends people to hell. We get our weapons, and then we play our hand, and contact Angelo directly for a meeting.
That's what everybody keeps telling me. I got your ship and her cargo. I want to meet.
This meeting conveniently takes place at his restaurant. What could possibly go wrong?
The mobsters have been guarding a real treasure.
Well, that didn't go anywhere. But Vlad's here again to take us to Punchinello Manor directly. Why the fuck didn't you... You know what, never mind. Over there, we get to see more of Mona's handiwork and deal with another band of legendary goons, before...
Max Payne.
Talk to me.
Alfred Woden. You've got company.
Yeah, I didn't mention this before. Alfred Woden is the mysterious figure that has been helping us along. By help, I mean he called once more to tell us about the cops on our trail, around 3 seconds before they started shooting at me. It's a bit nitpicky, at least it theoretically establishes that he's gonna be useful later. We also find Angelo's wife, Mona's twin sister, Lisa Punchinello, all beat up and dead. Get it? Mona Lisa? I'll stop.
You're a real angel, Max.
I couldn't tell whether it was Mona or her sister. The body was a mess. The sick bastard had really gotten a kick out of it. Seeing her lying there got me thinking about another woman's body on another bed.
Well, that's all the justification I need.
Punchinello was a pushover. The moment I stepped into the room, he folded like a deuce before a royal flush.
No, wait. I was just doing what I was told. I couldn't refuse. She's someone high up. Government, maybe. I don't know.
He was trying to buy more sand for his hourglass. I wasn't selling any.
No, I'm gonna savor this. Oh, for fuck's sake. I can't catch a break, man. There's always something. Can't even torture this guy at the end of my revenge. Some goons just waltz in and kill him themselves. Fuck this shit. I'm gonna go home and watch some Lords and Ladies. The fuck?
Don't move. Game over, Max Payne.
Hey, she sounds kinda familiar.
Is this the Payne residence?
Yes, someone's broken into my house. They're still here. You have to...
Good. I'm afraid I cannot help you.
Who is this? Hello?
Well, it's Noir, so she doesn't just shoot Max in the head. That would be lame. We get to experience what all this Valkyr business was about.
You'd find that Lady Luck was really a hooker. You were fresh out of cash. The shadows rushed me, bruised mugshot faces hungry for revenge. They knew my weak spots and closed in for the kill. The floor turned into a vortex of green blood. I fell.
Oh no. It's torture. It attacks all your senses. The platforming is even worse, even with the larger breakpoints. I didn't edit the sound either. I did chop up the footage, but this is one clean sound line during this section. Have a listen. I understand. They're trying to make people feel stuff in an interactive way, but you know what? We don't exactly kill the Germans during a World War II reenactment, so just describe it to me. Use your words. Without blowing out my eardrums or making me want to break my keyboard. Now, while the pain is real, this is a pretty good scene overall. My personal favorite part is the meta fourth wall breaking.
The letter was staring at me. There was something disturbingly familiar about the letter before me. The handwriting was all pretty curves.
You're in a graphic novel.
The truth split my skull open, a glaring green light washing the lies away. I was in a graphic novel. Funny as hell. It was the most horrible thing I could think of. The weird piece of paper looked dangerous. There was something disturbingly familiar about the letter before me. The handwriting was all pretty curves.
You're in a computer game, Max.
The truth was a burning green crack through my brain, weapon statistics hanging in the air glimpsed out of the corner of my eye, endless repetition of the act of shooting, time slowing down to show off my moves, the paranoid feel of someone controlling my every step. I was in a computer game. Funny as hell, it was the most horrible thing I could think of.
This one in particular will be very important later. The second reveal is actually a reinforcement. We get to see exactly the exchange he had with Michelle on the day she died.
Max, something happened at the office today. A strange memo. Something about Vikings.
Honey, I gotta run. You can tell me all about it this evening.
Have a nice day, darling.
That's enough for him to feel like he killed his family himself. Now, I get it. Survivor guilt can be pretty powerful stuff, but Max is an unreliable narrator. He blows everything out of proportion. What's happening, what he feels, he sees everything as a comic book.
All of my past was just fragmented still shots, words hanging in the air like balloons.
Even in this state, the exchange still had absolutely no urgency attached. She had something borderline interesting to say, and he was late for work. It's barely a mistake, if at all, so him being this bent out of shape over it, about himself, tends to lean a bit too much towards the melodramatic. You could argue that it's necessary that he hates himself this much, so he's justified in going on a suicidal revenge mission, but that also gets downplayed, and I'll talk about it more later.
Slowly, the green nightmare faded, leaving dark stains on my soul that would never come off.
So we wake up from the green sludge, and actually, here's something interesting. Max was slowly worn down, having to work for 3 years together with people involved with the murder of his family. Alex was a pretty cruel son of a bitch, even if Max asked for it. But maybe the V itself is also fucking with his head? Making him hate himself even more? I don't think so. He's dead inside since the game started, and his personality doesn't change that much after the V either.
I was a ninja. My kung fu was strong. I wasn't kidding anybody. At best, I was Superman on Kryptonite about to fall through a skylight, down to where it was all going down.
Kryptonite is right. Boy, does the game start throwing goons at you from here on out. So, first of all, the game at this point feels rushed. It was sagging before, but now it's on a sprint. The slow burn reveals from before are completely gone. Every level, we get another loose end tied up, despite the fact that you probably figured all of this out by yourself. Valkyre's a secret super soldier drug that got scrapped because of bad results.
1991. The research objective is to create a chemical substance to enhance the stamina and morale of infantry troops. 1995. Results unsatisfactory. Project cancelled.
Horn kept working on it on the hush-hush because profit? It's not very clear. What is clear is that the paper Michelle found at the post office was delivered to Max's house by accident.
The drop-off point was my old address in New Jersey. The file dated 3 years ago.
It's also clear that all of this isn't that important since they turn on the self-destruct sequence at the first whiff of a single runaway cop.
Breached. The facility has been compromised. Repeat, the Deep Six has been compromised. Initiate Operation Deadeye.
Outstanding. Hope you like fire, because there's a hell of a lot in here. Get it? Hell of a lot? Remember BB? He didn't actually make an appearance. He's the guy that calls us in the beginning to set up the meeting with Alex where he died. I wonder who was responsible. I mean, no other character we met would be that closely involved with the police. DEA specifically no less, and he and Alex were the only people to know that Max was investigating the whole thing undercover. It's all just an excuse for the contractually mandatory garage fight. It just goes on, and everything looks the same, and there's no more reveals, and this is all just pointless. We do get some nice fight sets when we meet Woden later. We meet him so he can babble about some inner circle nonsense and blah blah blah. You want Horn dead, right? You have all this power and influence, but you need me to do it? Gotcha. I was gonna do it anyway. You also gave me full reign to go through your stuff, so you better get me out of jail later. This does lose a lot of steam at this point. The shooting is still nice, but the enemies are just too strong. They take so many shots and you die instantly. Let's just get this over with. We eventually get to Aesir HQ, and after a multitude of very fun early 2000s puzzle set pieces, we get to see Mona for the second time.
Mona, looking good.
Max, we gotta stop meeting like this. Relax, Max. You're a nice guy. I don't kill nice guys.
You're not bad yourself.
No!
A gunshot boomed and she fell down in slow motion. She was a nice girl, not really a stone-cold killer.
Damn. Guess that's also tied up. They really didn't think this one through that much.
When the elevator came back down, Mona was gone.
Oh, maybe they did. And finally, Horn. It's not a proper boss fight. We gotta kill some goons and collapse a beam on her escape helicopter. You get 1 minute to figure out what's going on, and I'll admit, even having played this a lot back in the day and getting what were clearly hints in hindsight, it still took me a few tries to get what I was supposed to be doing. The platform collapses, Horn gets her comeuppance, and Max goes to jail. Big smile on his face.
The cops' voices were distant and muted.
Freeze! NYPD! Hold it right there!
My ghosts released me from their haunting. Down below, New York City glittered like diamonds on black velvet. Woden was there in the crowd, standing by the sidelines. It wouldn't be over till the man with the patch would say so. He'd say the right words. I knew he would. He'd better. Woden grinned smugly. It was the grin of a winner. That made 2 of us.
You sure did, Max. And nobody can take that away from you. But before that, let's make sure we tie this one up nice and tidy. The game does drag a bit towards the end, but it's definitely worth playing. Part 1, up to Lupino, is just perfect all around. Perfect pacing, perfect difficulty curve, perfect tone, everything. Part 2 is more of a slow burn, but is extremely important for reveals and getting a hang of what's going on. The missions are somewhat filler and don't progress the narrative, other than adding some realism, but the fighting wouldn't have worn its welcome off yet. Part 3 is a nightmare though. That guy with the rocket launcher on top of the scaffolding still haunts my nightmares. Most of the reveals at this point are there just to be stated in-game, but it's also where most of what's left for the sequel comes into play, so it does have its purpose if you don't just stop here with Max Payne. Finishing the game unlocks Hard-Boiled, which is the same thing as Max Level Fugitive from the very beginning. And finishing that unlocks Dead on Arrival, which is hard-boiled with limited saves. I felt the need to mention this because Dead on Arrival has a secret Easter egg ending that's a sort of behind-the-scenes look, and thank you from Remedy. It doesn't really do anything for the plot, it's just kind of cute and uplifting after the death march that's Doa Max Payne 1. But the philosophy of this design will come back later, just you wait. Max Payne 1 was a huge hit, so 2 years later, we got a sequel, one that promised to flesh out the side characters and finally put an end to Max's arc. Before Rockstar fucked it up. It's a fan favorite because, while Max Payne ain't no slouch, Max Payne 2 improves on pretty much everything. Gameplay is smoother and the mechanics are more deliberate. They introduced the Havoc physics engine to really kick that slow motion into gear. You might even see some similarities with other games that were clearly inspired by this. And while the game is considerably shorter, it also means that you don't need realistic filler to pad the story. Every second of this is important for plot development, and hey, you can also just replay the game multiple times. Which is highly recommended, by the way. So that's the summary, but I'll get into all of that. Now, actually. The game starts, interestingly enough, with Max waking up after his facial reconstruction surgery. There must have been complications because he hears voices in his head now. Well, might as well get some rehab in. Oh, we can still interact with things. Like this tissue paper, and look how smooth this shower water is. Oh yeah, we've upgraded. Oh my god, there's even realistic reflections. This hospital is kind of empty. I guess nobody gets cosmetic surgery during a recession. NYPD must pay a bundle.
I'll deal with Payne. He's as good as dead.
Freeze, NYPD!
Found him.
Awesome. Look at the roll, bouncing on top of him. This is what it was all about back then. They did blow it though, when they limited the cinematic Last Guy Death camera. That one was great. Glad they brought it back and improved it in 3. Where's that doctor though? Jim?
Hey!
Hey, you here to fix that nose?
Did you do it? You killed him!
What? Jim, what the fuck are you talking about?
I had tried to run from it, edit it out. Winterson was dead. I was a murderer.
I guess the jig is up. Max wasn't here for facial reconstruction surgery. They probably only did that as a bonus. Something must have gone very wrong. It's only been 2 years, so we're obviously still under Noir contract. Of course this was in medias res, but you know what? It's pretty great, because it literally spoils the entire game without actually spoiling anything for people that didn't play it. With Max's unreliable narrator shtick, you legitimately can't really piece together anything despite the game giving you all the pieces. I like it a lot. We get an Address Unknown episode on TV. This was the Twin Peaks reference in Max Payne 1, but here it's even weirder for now, if you can believe that.
Diagnosis: paranoid schizophrenic. You are insane.
Pair that up with the dreamlike state, the insanity angle, and the whodunit framing with a twist, and we're getting a lot closer to a modern Remedy style. Oh, it also has something to do with romance. So we actually start in Max's car, driving over to a distress call by one of Vladimir Lem's warehouses. The game offers a previously on Max Payne recap in the menus, but it's better to get it from the man himself to gauge his level of delusion.
I had wanted to be punished for what I had done.
Yep, mad as a hatter. Oh no, Max, I'm sure you just collected all that dirt on Woden for safekeeping. You know, so no shady character finds it. Maybe you sell it to the cops for a 5-star stay at the Pokey. Yeah, who would have thought? Revenge didn't really do it for old Maxi. Maybe associating with criminals was also a bit of a downer? Who knows, but clearly not him. Once we're at the location, we meet an upstanding gentleman, employee of the Squeaky Cleaning Company.
Come on, officer, it's all legit. I work for the Squeaky Cleaning Company.
Yeah, let's get this over with.
Perp's disguise didn't fool me. He was leading me into a trap.
Let's start with the gameplay. Max Payne 2 holds up well and is a great third-person shooter. Every mechanic from the first game is still here and more polished. For starters, you're way more mobile in slow motion than in the previous title, so it gives you a clear advantage. The time on it drains faster, but you also get a lot more of it back by killing enemies, so you're rewarded for being aggressive. Which is good, because this isn't really a passive game, for the most part. They made sure that you never feel like you have to play it safe. Painkillers heal you faster. Shoot dodging is way safer than in the first game, because enemies don't lead their shots as much. You even get a neat animation that insta-reloads your weapon if it runs out during slow-mo. It's great and keeps the pace going. Be aggressive. Be aggressive. I've mentioned before that the last man kill camera happens less often, which was a bad move, but they do compensate with general physics and some amazing ragdolls for the time. If you kill enemies during slow-mo, they play them up even more, and they can even interact with other objects around. I wasn't kidding around with the fear comparison. Now, it is 2003, so it's not perfect. Especially since Max Payne 2 was one of the early games to adopt the Havoc engine. I also said that every mechanic is in here and better, but there's one caveat. The Dark Souls strategy is a lot clunkier and isn't viable anymore. You still get your iframes, but there's way more downtime before your next action, time in which you will get shot. This is also in service of making you play proactively and looking cool, and it definitely works, especially on Detective, the first difficulty. But as you go higher, you'll soon find out that it's unfortunately still not optimal. Whew, okay. Still got my head. Now, let's play the game properly. One day. Meanwhile, on our janitor killing spree, we find out that the owner of this establishment, Annie Finn, is Vladimir's woman of sorts.
You've reached Annie Finn. I'm not here right now because I'm building some nasty things that kill.
Sweet Annie. Vlad here. Sorry I couldn't be there as promised. Something's come up. Nothing to worry about, but keep an eye out for trespassers.
We don't know exactly why the squeaky cleaning company is trying to kill her yet, but we do know that she runs an actual legitimate business making weapons from inside this workshop. Well, used to.
Listen, I work for Vladimir!
Honey, you work for no one.
What do you want? We can...
NYPD, drop him! Finish her!
Oh God, no!
Like all the bad things in my life, it started with the death of a woman. I couldn't save her.
I guess history repeats itself, doesn't it, Maxi? Your wife died in the beginning of the first game, this random chick died in the beginning of this one. I see absolutely no difference. Well, I guess my work here is... Mona?
Hey!
I like how this last goon's standoff with her is exactly like the one she had with Max on their first meeting. She was actually supposed to kill you in the first game too, so she's clearly biased.
It will be a cold day in hell before I let a narc cop stop me. Miss Sachs, do your job.
Seems the thirst was mutual.
We gotta stop meeting like this.
Well, better find her. Wait, none of these fuckers is forklift certified? I'm starting to think these guys don't even work for the squeaky cleaning company.
Max! You alright?
We get the lecture back at the station for Max being a reckless, loose cannon with no regards to his safety or protocol. You know, the usual. But we also get the police's information on the whole debacle. It appears to be a three-way between Vladimir, the Mafia, and the janitors. Max is assigned this case because Jim hates him.
I don't like it. I don't like it a bit. It's yours, Payne. It makes no sense.
While Winterson gets a homicide case involving a dead senator with a likely suspect attached.
She hovered over my shoulder, whispering warnings. I didn't want to listen. Mona was the suspect in Winterson's case. I didn't tell him I had seen her. I wanted to stall. I needed to talk to Vlad, get his version.
I guess we're getting a double reunion. We get to meet Vlad and take a look at Ragnarok. God, I miss that goth. What the fuck? Man, I hate the future. No time to mourn though, because Vlad is in a bit of a pinch. Some goon, some crook, some monster wants him dead. Oh my god. I can't. It's too soon. I was just about to talk about how this game takes itself way more seriously. I'll save it for later. It is coming back, I promise. So we have a one-on-one with Vlad after saving his life. Mostly just nonsense.
Scout's honor, Detective. I have mended my ways, evolved to a higher level. Annie was a princess. They killed her for no reason.
You hurt your hand just now?
A hot date yesterday.
He doesn't seem that beat up about Annie.
Nothing to worry about, baby. I'm going to be alright. When haven't I been alright? Max is here now. You know Max. I'll call you when it's over. I love you, baby.
Vlad was a perfect gentleman, reassuring his girlfriend. Someone other than Annie.
I mean, she just died. Nah, he's a bad guy. I'm sure he's just desensitized.
Home, sweet home. Something in the night felt like a door had been opened, an echo of the past. Closing your eyes forces you to look at the darkness inside. I hadn't slept in a long time. When I did, my dreams were nightmares. In a nightmare, every choice you make is a wrong one. I would wake up at night, afraid that day was a dream I'd forget.
So we're back at Max's bachelor crib, as he wakes up from a nightmare. At this point, it's clear that he did not get over his trauma one bit. Revenge be damned. I said before that this game is way more melodramatic and takes itself way more seriously. For example, we still have the short TV movies from the last game. Before, they were mostly there to mock the game itself and tropes of the time. It was good parody, so good that you can spend hours in GTA 5 in your pad just watching TV and it's all snark all the time. Just great.
I was trapped in a nightmare. My evil double had taken my girlfriend.
We're still in parody territory in Max Payne 2, but it's a bit more literal.
Captain Baseball Bat Boy's girlfriend!
Ugh! She's not my girlfriend!
Captain Baseball Bat Boy's arch nemesis!
We're clearly establishing some motifs, most importantly, choice, or more specifically, not having one, and just reality in general.
Following him, I had somehow slipped into a twisted alternate reality.
It's not very relevant right now, it's obviously surface level meta-narrative. The player is playing the character watching a movie in a video game, from his smelly apartment. You should open up a window, by the way. But later, it takes a whole new meaning, and I'll get into it. Meanwhile, since we woke up, might as well... Did Max actually wake up?
That's odd.
I woke to a knock at my door. Someone slipped a note under the door. It was a clue.
I guess not. The stairwell never ends. Oh, it's an alternative timeline where Mona died last game. You know, when she got shot in the head.
What are you hiding? She's alive, isn't she?
People get near you, they die. You killed your family. You killed them all.
Confess.
You can kinda see where Remedy came from with these types of scenes. But enough of dead Mona. Let's see what alive Mona wants.
When you're waking up, the world is a blur. What was clear in a dream suddenly makes no sense. No surreal rescues, no easy, magic way out. But you are awake. Mona, I was wondering when you'd show up.
Max, I'm not here to kill you. Aren't you going to ask me in? You are in danger. Both of us are. There's a contract out on us.
You're being paranoid.
Sniper!
Damn. I guess you're not. Oh, she ran away. Well, I know where to find her, so let's deal with the sniper guy first for breaking my window.
I'd found the sniper's hideout. The room was full of surveillance equipment. They'd been spying on me for days, weeks, months even.
You better hope to God that the insurance company covers bullet damage.
Simple, not like in a movie where the hero gets a chance to disarm the bomb. He opens the door, and boom!
And fire. Oh, the humanity. Nah, it's all just an excuse to kill a bunch of goons. 2 whole chapters, baby, let's go.
It's Payne! Shoot him! Ah!
Oh shit, I didn't know this was a CRPG. Look, we got Rogue.
Guess I'm an outlaw after all, huh?
Paladin.
Yeah, I was a cop. Cost me my marriage.
And Bard.
A girl's gotta protect herself.
You can even actually babysit them and keep them alive with commands, but it's all optional. Perfect. But eventually, the fun leaves, so Max can go file a complaint with the police.
They hit you home? It's like a friggin' kindergarten out there. What next? A kid with a bag full of guns and a head full of video games turns the house into a shooting gallery. Breaks my heart.
Jim Bravura's kinda being a dick about it though, so time to take matters into our own hands, and conveniently, Mona left some contact information.
Mona had gotten under my skin. I couldn't close my eyes to any of it anymore. It was more important than the job. She had tried to reach me, left her number.
In the police station.
Risky leaving your number at the police station.
How clever of her. Hiding Grandma's glasses on her face? Or something like that.
I'll give you my address. Make sure you're not followed.
She lives in a fucking amusement park? Sick. Descent into madness, huh? Very subtle. But definitely not as subtle as the writing, and this time, I'm not sarcastic.
A fun house is a linear sequence of scares. Take it or leave it is the only choice given. Makes you think about free will. Have our choices been made for us because of who we are?
Ugh, finally. Why do you even reset these things every time you get home? It has to be annoying.
Such a late goodbye.
God damn, you're a terrible singer. Lords and Ladies is on? It's mocking the young lord for going for a lady unapproved by the family. She's also a pirate captain.
The esteemed Sheriff of York was well on his way to recovery from the consumption when the news of you carrying on with that wench, a pirate's daughter no less, brought about his relapse.
You know, it's just the right amount of fading inside your own ass, but then coming back for air. If everything is subtle, then nothing is subtle. Or something like that. Speaking of not being subtle at all.
I'll tell you one thing, Mona, you're no singer. Bring me a towel, will you? Now that you're here, you can watch my back while I get dressed.
All she had told me was that someone wanted us dead. The way she was acting, I was the only one in danger here. You'll have to give me a lot more than that.
The Inner Circle.
What of it?
The secret society is after everyone who knows of their existence.
Come off it. Prove it.
I have a contact inside. He's willing to talk.
Alfred Woden?
No. Anyways, I can take you to him.
So we're going on an adventure to find this guy that can fill us in. I mean, call me cynical, but shouldn't we be going directly to Odin?
No.
I guess we do what the lady says for now. Max is a gentleman, after all.
I'll go up.
You're the man.
These guys never learn. If you keep bleeding all over the expensive rugs, there's just gonna be more stuff to clean. Wait a second. Maybe they're geniuses. By creating more work for themselves, they have infinite business. Damn, now I feel bad for killing them.
Find him.
Why am I not surprised? The contact is dead. Mona, your contact is... Uh-oh.
Payne, what are you doing? What are you doing?
The million-dollar question I didn't have the answer to.
What were you thinking? Were you thinking at all?
I was following a lead. She was helping me.
She is a fugitive murder suspect, for Christ's sakes!
I was trying to save those people from the cleaners. The two cases are connected, mine and Winterson's. Senator Gate was killed by the cleaners.
They are connected. Winterson can have them both. She doesn't back you up.
I was doing my job.
I'm sorry to do this, Payne, but it's for your own good. Hand me your guns. I'm putting you to a desk job.
I was mad.
Yeah, me too, Max. Unthinkable. They took you off the case just because you were sheltering a fugitive murderer. The nerve. At least you can get some work done.
Hey, we're watching that. Whole of York is at stake. Hey, we were watching that, asshole.
Magazine says it is the best costume drama since the
nice
tragic
going,
affairs
Payne.
of Jonathan
Good job.
Nightingale.
Right, your wife and the pizza guy were trespassing in your bed and you killed them.
No, I didn't kill anyone. It's a frame-up. Weren't you listening?
Okay, now I get it. Your wife and the pizza guy deviously conspired to set you up. They killed themselves in your bed with your gun, proceed to chop each other to pieces in your bathtub with your chainsaw, and finally lure you to the backyard where they patiently wait under the rose bush to inject you with V, and when you are helpless, they leak blood all over you and call the police.
No. Yeah. They were gonna whack me.
I were you, I'd go to my desk and at least pretend I was doing as I've been told.
Fuck this. Work is for peasants. I'll go see what Mona's up to.
Max, you've got to get me out of here.
You know I can't do that.
If I stay here, I'll die.
Isn't that a bit melodramatic?
Melodramatic? Max Payne 2? No!
Come on, Max. Any one of these cops could be on the Inner Circle's payroll. You should know.
What's that supposed to mean?
You know Alfred Woden. You want answers? Call him.
So it only took Mona going to jail to finally call Woden and ask the fuck is going on. Conveniently though, he's out, so he only gets the message. Wouldn't want to have to cut the conversation.
Jesus Christ!
A bomb? That was a bomb!
Huh. Guess the sheikh that had the opportunity and could have killed me, that also came directly to me for help, wasn't lying about needing help. What a twist. Now, at this point, for me, this not trusting Mona bit is already starting to be a bit contrived, but just in general, she's still a fugitive murderer.
You're a murder suspect. I should take you in.
A bit of suspicion from a detective is warranted. Later though, we'll see. She manages to escape and we lose her for now, mostly because Max was too busy staring at her through the security feed rather than running the 10 meters to herself to help her. It's fine though, because it ends up being an excuse to have another one of Vlad's impromptu Deus Ex Machina appearances.
The world was getting too small for comfort. Too many coincidences.
Bang! You're dead, Max Payne.
Gearing up for Halloween?
Max, dearest of all my friends. Call it my Trojan horse in the war Vinnie Gognitti started.
Do me a favor. Drop me off at Coney Island. Does the Inner Circle ring any bells?
Nothing mystical about them. Just one step up the ladder of organized crime. Gognitti has made a deal with them.
What about Mona Sachs?
I hear she is a stone fox. I would fuck her.
Right then, I hated Vlad.
Max, I need to ask your advice as a friend.
Ask.
Hypothetically, if the only choice you've got is to do the wrong thing, then it's not really the wrong thing. It's more like fate. You have to do what you have to do.
What an odd thing to say.
It's never that easy.
Of course. We agree to disagree.
Why was I there again?
Wait. Wait just a minute. Talk to me.
What are you so afraid of? What do you want from me?
The Things That I Want by Max Payne. The smoke. A whiskey. For the sun to shine. I want to sleep to forget. To change the past. My wife and baby girl back. Unlimited ammo and a license to kill. Right then, more than anything, I wanted her.
Now, I'll try to keep the interpretations to a minimum until the end. It keeps the flow going, and also the game hasn't handed out all the puzzle pieces yet. You get what you get with mystery, and part of the point is to think you got it midway through, just to have the rug pulled from under you. The scene doesn't last that long. Zoomers don't even have the opportunity to call it unnecessary sexual tension that ruins the plot of this love story before the game remembers it's also a third-person shooter.
You led them here.
Find them, kill them. The cop and the killer bitch. No, hey, what the hell? Ah, it's gonna fall!
Cleaners was a misnomer. They were making a mess of it.
In the end, Max pitches a ride with the cleaners and ends up at their HQ, where we eventually discover pretty much all the evidence we will ever need to close the book on this one. And hell, we could probably close a whole library. Max is so ecstatic, he basically tells Mona to turn herself in to the police.
Mona, I know this sounds crazy, but I need you to go and call the cops. I need them here.
You're right. You are crazy.
You know, she's wanted for mostly unrelated crimes, but I'm sure the cops will be so happy to have all this evidence that they just let her go.
I wouldn't ask if it wasn't necessary.
Stuff's made me think. Didn't you... Hey, there he is! We got... Whoa! Whoa! Okay. You are now firing a gun at your imaginary friend near 400 gallons of nitroglycerin! Shit, run!
Well, there goes the evidence.
Max, what's going on?
Seems we're back to the drawing board. Eh, Maxie?
The building's blowing up. That's what's going on.
We do get one very endearing scene while trying to escape where the goons decide that killing Max in this collapsing building that's also exploding is way more relevant and important than survival. This guy can't catch a break. Oh, well, I'm lying. He kinda does. There's no way anybody unlucky survives this one. At this point, we get a bit of an intermission and get to see Mona's side of the plot from about when Max got to the cleaner's hideout. You know, not the very beginning. Nothing too relevant. Wouldn't want people figuring out what the fuck is going on halfway through. It's also interesting that Max is the one narrating the sequence, supposedly from after the events of the game, so you can see it as a weird out-of-body experience too. So we get to play as Mona for a bit, and it's mostly the same gameplay, but there are some differences. On the good side, we get the Dragunov Sniper, hands down one of the best weapons in the whole series. We also get some nice, uplifting backstory for once. Huh? Oh, right.
These guys are packing. Close to overkill. Hardcore professionals.
On the bad end, Mona's ass is so big and draws so much attention that she isn't immune while doing side dodges, like Max is. Patriarchy. I mean, for a game inspired by gun acrobatics, slow-motion action movies, they sure didn't do their homework. The laws of physics dictate that a hot woman doing a cartwheel is completely impervious to all harm in the process. I think Newton came up with that one. This game is unscientific. They also let Mona take the fall for something that I might have threatened with earlier. Fucking vertical fights. You can't shoot through the mesh staircase, and even if you could, you can barely see the enemies, but they sure as hell have no problem seeing or killing you. You legit have to bait them and wait at the door for them to come in one by one for their execution. Whatever, moving on. It's all video games from here on for a while. We got the back and forth between Max and Mona as he tries to get to her. Mostly him being in a pinch and Mona putting herself at risk to save him.
Without Mona's help, I'd be a dead man. Suddenly, for the first time in I don't know how long, I realized I didn't wish to be dead.
But eventually, it ends. We finally do reunite with Mona, but as always, it's not exactly under ideal circumstances.
Firing a gun is a binary choice. You either pull the trigger or you don't.
Stop. Stop. Wait.
Stay out of this, Max. You're only making it worse. You've been suspended.
She's one of them. She's here to kill me.
I'm doing my duty. She is a fugitive murder suspect. I'm taking her in. She resists, she gets shot.
As surely as the bullet rips through the victim's flesh, organ, and bone, it shatters the image of the man who presses the trigger.
Easy.
Back off, Payne.
This is what I see when I look back. These moments. Blinding as snow. They kill you, change you. You die and live again. Remade.
No, Mona. Winterson! Gunfire! This way, fast! Go! Go, run! Mona,
In both games, this is the first time Max does an undeniably bad thing with absolutely no justification. Winterson gave maybe only some vague hints that she might be up to something shady.
You're leaking information.
Bravura's too soft on you.
Mona is fundamentally a fugitive murderer, and as we'll see, Max still doesn't trust her. We also get that backstory from back at the station that Winterson has been into Max for a while.
Better get Winterson. She's been kind of edgy about her calls. Didn't she used to have the hots for you, Payne? I hear she has a new boyfriend. Getting laid would do her good. Talk about tense. They say she kicked out her husband a couple of years ago. Been taking care of her blind kid on her own. No wonder she's edgy.
And that she was an only mother to her blind son. You know, emotional manipulation, another noir classic. But I don't want to make light of any of this. This is the first point in 2 games where the player might no longer be aligned with Max from a moral perspective, even considering the vengeance anti-hero angle. But nobody punishes him as much as he punishes himself.
Detective Winterson, officer down! He went over the edge!
The genius of the hole. No matter how long you spend climbing out, you can still fall back down in an instant. I had a dream of my wife. In it, I murdered her for my lover.
Before we get into the climax and my interpretation of what the plot was doing, we need to talk about this tone, because it's pretty interesting from multiple angles. One of the major complaints essay brains have about this game is inconsistent tone. Max Payne 2 aims to be way more serious than the first game, and the story itself warrants it, but if you've been following along with this review, I didn't really take it that much more seriously. Much like the difficulty in Max Payne 1, the melodrama in Max Payne 2 is optional. The silly shows on TV, despite being a bit more serious, are still just parodies, but you know what? You could just not watch them. The CRPG mechanics? Optional, you can simply run away and ignore the NPCs completely. That's me fucking around in the cop station. They put it in the game, but you don't have to do that. You can go directly to the line hearing and you only get the bare minimum.
You think I was listening?
You are nothing but a one-armed bandit.
Stupid.
If you rush through the game, not stopping for interactables, not fucking around exploring...
For Mona, press 3. You press 3 for Mona. Hi, this is Mona. What's your name?
I just need someone to talk to.
Honey, this is a phone sex line. All we do is talk.
Right. It's... How do you fix something like that? How do you make amends? I thought it would help, but it only made it worse.
Just give me your credit card number and I can listen to you all night.
Killing them all only made it worse. It didn't bring them back.
Hey, what are you, some kind of weirdo?
Sorry, this was... Sorry.
It's pretty much all Blake and melodrama all the time. Hell, you can skip a lot of the evidence itself, like in the last game, and pretty much have no clue what's going on other than what the characters tell you. Everything that breaks tone is a side effect of player agency. Yes, player agency. You know, when they let you do things in the game other than walk the line and be a good boy, like in Call of Duty. Remedy lets you ruin your own experience, and isn't it great? I mean, sure, I could cry at all this melodrama, but do you really want that? Right after sending 100 goons to hell in the coolest way possible? The tone was always going to clash, whether it's the player fucking around with the physics or slow-motion shoot-dodging in my romantic noir mystery thriller, but that's not the brunt of it. I believe that Remedy didn't want you to think that this is a hopeless tragedy, but didn't want to spell it out either. And it is very subtle, but I have 2 major arguments for my theory. One of them is coming up very soon, and the other, well, you'll just have to wait and see.
We're losing him. Multiple gunshot wounds. Pupils blown, head trauma, God only knows what else. He's in shock. Start 2 large bore IVs, get him to ICU stat. He's not responding. This guy is a train wreck.
I had chosen Mona. It felt like I had lost her.
You're a real angel, Max.
So we're all caught up. Well, almost. Max is having another nightmare sequence in the hospital.
Max. 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 Oh, Max.
Normally, I'd complain about him being asleep more than he's awake in this fucking game, but this time it's warranted.
Think, damn it. Think. Wait. Just wait. I can figure this out. I can explain this. I can fix it. I killed them. My wife. My baby. I shot them. I buried them under the rose bush in the backyard. Funny. For a moment there, I forgot who I was. I've been switched. I didn't used to look like this. I thought I was the killer. I thought I was a mobster. I thought I was a cop. I thought I was a patient. I thought... Who am I? When I had woken up in the hospital earlier tonight, I had thought things couldn't get any worse. I was wrong. I was a murderer. A cop killer. There are things in life you cannot choose. How you feel. I had lain at the bottom of the hole long enough. Too long.
When he finally does wake up, there's already some assassins waiting for him. These guys sure have access everywhere. We've seen them in high-end apartments, in the hospital, the fucking police station. If only there were some Illuminati-ass organization that we also have a connection in that could possibly enlighten Max on what the fuck is going on. Alas. This leads into one of the more annoying sequences. I don't have a gun. There's a guy at the door that I can knock down, but for some reason, we can't just stomp his face in while he's flailing and take it from him. I got to navigate this hospital while getting shot at, looking for one instead. I mean, you're a resourceful guy, Max. You can dodge bullets like this is some sort of simulation. You need a gun first so you can punch a guy in the face with it? Give me a break. It's whatever though. At least we get some more movie references while we're at it. When we get out, it's finally time to go see Woden.
Mr. Payne, I've been expecting you.
Now, I want you to remember this because it's important. Let's call it Exhibit A for now. I'm not pretentious, you're pretentious. He straight up tells us that Vlad is behind the power struggle within the inner circle that he couldn't really stifle because of a mild case of dying of cancer.
The only true reason why men fight wars, love.
The score on Mona Sachs?
Next question.
Fine. Why is the inner circle trying to kill me?
I am dying. Cancer. Power has leaked through my fingers. There was a rebellion. A renegade faction has pushed the society into a civil war. Everyone who resists is assassinated. We have been reduced to fighting mob wars.
Vinny Gognitti?
Vladimir Lem.
I knew the answer before he told me.
Now, my first read of this was that it's some contrived bullshit. This literally explains everything. The squeaky cleaning company was Vlad's man all along. He killed Annie, despite being his girlfriend and working for him, because it didn't make sense for him to do it. Which in turn meant that Vinny Gognitti, who immediately went for his throat after this event, was a way more likely suspect.
According to Vladimir Lem, the mob captain Vincent Gognitti is behind the hits. Seems he's made a deal with an unknown third party. Maybe the cleaners, I don't know. Something doesn't fit.
It wasn't just Annie. They were going around, tying up loose ends and killing his competition the entire time. Max and Mona being part of the loose ends. The entire game could have been avoided with this one conversation. But this isn't criticism. We also have to remember that Max is, well, special. And there's also the problem with how these goons had access to the hospital and police station, so I think I can build a better case in time. We naturally followed the lead to... vodka. His fucking restaurant. No. Not in the mood for this right now. There's an interesting continuity Easter egg here. If we manage to keep Mike, the rogue, alive in the first encounter, which isn't easy by the way, he has a line here and we have to deal with him ourselves. Though that part is a bit underwhelming. I couldn't even tell when he died. Basically just another goon. Vlad's not here though, unfortunately, but we do find something even better.
Vlad was after Vinny. He had left me a map to follow.
You have one new message.
Vlad, it's me. Where are you? I need you. I'm on my way to the construction site now.
Winterson?
I'll do it. I'll take care of them both for you.
Again, pretty Deus Ex Machina-y. Winterson fucked up big time. This saves Max from the murder accusation. But I'll allow it. It was sent on Vlad's office phone, so the expectation was that a horde of goons would have fended off any nosy meddling detectives skulking around.
What? Can't hear you. Here. He's near? Keep your hands on your ears. It's gonna be a loud bang. What? Hey!
What also works is that despite vindicating Max of his crime, and in the eyes of the audience, which was the goal since I doubt Remedy wanted to turn our antihero into a villain, his psyche turned this event into an even bigger problem, and we'll talk about that more soon.
I don't know. Is this a crime? Is it against the law to be happy? They haven't seen you with my boy. Haven't seen you with me. Miss you. Call me.
The gilding on the mask had cracked to reveal the rot underneath. Winterson's confession didn't wash away my guilt. It made me feel worse.
Still, Max's trauma and all, the tension was still deflated for the audience and we're all back on his side, so we can have some more fun before the ending. This next part is that intentional tone shift that I mentioned before, that cannot be avoided. Look, we're back into it being a CRPG. We got some warrior brains this time.
What took you so long? Where's the rest of you?
You're the reinforcements Vinny promised us, right?
Who else? Only it's just me. The cleaners got the rest.
God damn it, they're killing us like flies! I guess one extra gun's better than nothing.
Okay, let's go.
Oh shit, it's their chieftain.
What the fuck are you doing with him? He's a cop. Max Payne, rings any bells? What did you bring him here for? He tried to kill the boss on me. Died!
Wise beyond his years. And finally, the main man himself, Vinny Gognitti.
Oh man, why did this have to happen to me? Oh, it was so perfect. Now it's ruined. Oh no, no way.
So, does this mission dilute some of the bleak tone?
Payne, I'm going. Payne!
Is it one of the most annoying escort missions to ever exist?
Payne, what are you waiting for? Don't let them catch me. Kill them. Kill them.
Is it a bugged piece of shit? Maybe. But is it absolutely 100% worth it? Oh yeah.
What? I'm a collector. Do you know how much this stuff is worth? I tell you, fucking much.
You have one new message. Vinny Gognitti, Vladimir Lem is coming for you. Knowing him, it will probably be a bomb. I'm doing this only to make it more difficult for him. Don't get any ideas.
That's pretty nice of Mona. She's a nice lady. She also seems to know quite a bit about Vlad's bombs. Huh. Maybe she can disarm Vinny's head.
Hey, slimebag. When we play cops and robbers and I'm the cop, I get to spank you. You don't get to beat me up, asshole.
Or maybe we just let him blow up. Nah, this is a good excuse to see her, so we drive over, but there's unfortunately some more uninvited guests present.
Well, that was fun. In a fucking terrible, sick, not at all fun way.
Vinny needed Mona as much as I did. We'll try to find Mona Sachs. She can disarm the bomb.
Are you crazy? She's just as bad as the Russian. She's part of the same fucking crew.
You're delusional. I was desperate enough to look for Mona at the funhouse.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Max, dearest of all my friends, drop your gun, or the bomb goes.
I had a bomb ticking in my head. No amount of painkillers would disable it. Vlad and his men left after they were done with Vinny and me. I don't know how Mona came to be there. I can only speculate. It's clear that she was after Vlad.
Max.
She must have gotten there after he had left. Otherwise, he'd have been dead, and she wouldn't have come after me. She came to get me through the fire.
So we get to play as Mona again, and it's a nice little callback to a similar scene in the first game. It's a nice one-to-one replica of it too, since this one is also a bullshit RNG maze. Well, it's an action game, so I guess you need to put the explosions in somewhere. But eventually, we get Max to safety, and he rewards Mona by giving me the last piece I needed to solve the puzzle.
I hated her for making me feel this way. Now that I was with her, I was reluctant to hear her answers.
You okay?
Vlad was headed to Woden's manor.
Don't be stupid. You're not in shape to go anywhere. You'll die.
I don't care.
This isn't your fight, Max. You can walk away. I'm asking you.
I didn't deserve to walk away. There are no happy endings. You're coming with me. It was too late. I couldn't trust her. Not before I had seen this through.
Okay, and with this, I can finally talk about the themes of Max Payne 2 right before getting into the final mission and climax of the game. From the beginning of the first game, we play as Max Payne, the dead inside cop struck by tragedy, chasing revenge. We know about his guilt and self-hatred, but we also know that he's an unreliable narrator and that he blows his fault out of proportion. Realistically, he couldn't do anything about his family's deaths other than to avenge them, which he does by the end of the first game with a triumphant declaration.
Woden grinned smugly. It was the grin of a winner. That made two of us.
But he didn't really win. Instead, he died again by losing his last remaining purpose. As she said herself, killing Horn didn't bring his family back. He didn't even accept his hero badge for solving other people's problems in the process.
With his influence, ridiculously, I had emerged from my history of violence unscathed. A hero. I didn't thank him. I couldn't stomach it.
It all boiled down to him making a choice, succeeding, and it, ultimately, not mattering one bit. Fatalism. Since the beginning of Max Payne 2, we're enforced with the idea of not having a choice.
A false start. The hospital bed wasn't the beginning. It was past the point of no return. A fatal choice already made.
A man playing the hand he's dealt until the pot gets raked, one direction or another. And this is a linear game, so no duh. Of course the story unfolds to the beat of the writer, but nobody believes that more than Max himself. Could we go see Woden immediately and get all the answers? Sure. Will it make a difference? Probably not. So either for the adrenaline he's been missing since completing his revenge, or general apathy, Max acts impulsively.
There are no choices. Nothing but a straight line.
There probably is a best option, but he always takes the immediate one, because to him, it's all leading down the same aisle. Until Mona reappears. Love. Now, his attraction to Mona was shallow, and he admits it, but it's more than that. He thought Mona was dead, and she wasn't. It's whatever. She disappears, again, in the warehouse. She's a ghost. But this ghost is haunting him specifically. Still, she's mysterious. She was supposed to kill Max. She's a hired assassin and a fugitive. He can't get a read on her, even at the highest level.
The score on Mona Sachs.
Next question.
It's acceptable that he would still be confused. But he also needs this to be love. He couldn't do anything to save his family. Some minor events could have changed the timeline, so he uses that guilt to fuel his revenge, knowing deeply that, realistically, he couldn't do anything. So here's Mona. She's in danger. So are you. You're primed from the beginning and in on it. You have the perfect opportunity to make a difference and save the people you love. Even if it means turning the whole world against you. Tragic irony. By shooting Winterson, Max didn't just save Mona. He also proved to himself that, given the opportunity, he would have done anything to save Michelle and Rose too. But circumstances led to another reality. Mona had to save him on her end. The message he found on Vlad's phone absolved him of his crime. His sacrifice wasn't good enough anymore, in his addled mind. That's why he felt worse when he found it. He felt the same in the first game when he found all the evidence to prove that he was fully morally justified in his revenge.
Just when you thought you had reached the deepest depths of horror, it suddenly got worse. How to turn off that small voice inside your head that started to whisper that you should be glad that now, if not before, your revenge was justifiable on any conceivable moral scale. That small voice proved, beyond any doubt, that I was damned.
He didn't abandon his morals for the woman he loved anymore. He just retroactively did the right thing. And that's not good enough, because it wasn't before either, so how do we fix it? He has to save Mona again, but Mona's not in any danger. So we bring her to danger.
You're coming with me.
It's such a selfish and reckless move after all she went through and risked for him. We know that even at the very end, he's still not sure.
Did I love her? Was there a choice?
He does show his unconditional love eventually, but by that time, it could very well be too late. On the other side, for every one of Max's hesitations to help her, Mona doesn't hesitate to save him. Even with his indecisiveness and lack of trust, she proves her loyalty and love again and again, up to the very end.
Dead end. Damn it.
Here, let me. This way.
Mona knew the manor. She was working for Woden. Vlad had told me the truth.
Mona, wait. Stop.
This is love. When someone drags you from the wreckage when you have given in, ready to just lie there and die.
I told you not to come here. It's my job to clear up this mess, and you're a part of it. Throw away your guns.
This is love. When someone, no matter what the cost, shows you there is hope, a choice, that you can put down your gun.
See? I can't do it. You're a bastard, Max.
This is love.
But the last time comes at a huge price.
Love hurts.
I was so looking forward to you two killing each other. You can't have everything.
So we have one more loose end to tie up.
You have 2 new messages. Alfred, I told you this was a bad idea. I can understand your remorse, but this isn't helping Max. It's only making it worse. I'm not sure I can do this. I told you we had a history. Hell, I'm mad about this guy. I'm just not sure I can go through with this.
Much like the first game, we deal with Vlad in an early 2000s puzzle boss sequence. We get an epic Die Hard sort of villain comeuppance, and then, as the cavalry arrives, we return to Mona for the final reward.
The past is a gaping hole. Your only chance is to turn around and face it. But it's like kissing the lips of your dead love. Darkness waiting in the hole of your mouth. We are willing to suffer, to die for the things we care about, for love, for the right choices. Because of her, I had solved the case, my case, all of it, who I am. It's gonna be all right.
God, I turned out to be such a damsel in distress.
She was dead. The bullet in her head had come to the end of its slow-motion journey. It is almost morning, waking up from the American dream.
Jesus! My God! What the hell went on in here? They are all dead.
Now, like all my loves, she is mine forever. She has brought me here to this moment of clarity, where time slows down and I choose to look back, to see myself. And in that act of seeing, I am reborn.
Down here! This way! There! Easy! Oh my God! Got a live one here! Detective Payne? He's still alive! We need a medic in here now!
In the end, you can look at this in multiple ways. In the mundane, boring way, Max and Mona were both reckless fugitives, chasing revenge. Once they got it, their life became empty, and they found solace in one another because of their similarities. Max lost his family, Mona lost her twin sister, they were both chased by law and crime, and their goals were common. The connection was easy to make, and in the end it was as simple as they ran out of luck. Mona paid her price, and Max once again couldn't protect his loved one. But in a cruel, twisted way, now he knew that even given every opportunity to be there for Michelle and Rose, much like with Mona, he would have eventually failed. Predestined fate. There simply was no right answer, and that finally gives him his peace of mind and allows him to move on.
I had a dream of my wife. She was dead. But it was all right.
The other way is more philosophical. Mona was never just a flesh and blood character. She's also an idealized version of Max's refusal to let go of the past. A beautiful femme fatale that wouldn't have died in his wife's situation. She appears twice in the first game, both during conflict resolution, just to dilute it. In one of them, she gets shot in the head, but inexplicably survives for later. In Max Payne 2, it's the same. In her desperation and uncertainty, she shows up on Max's doorstep as warning, as a savior, or to muddy the waters. She's a personification of Max's inner turmoil, to survive just to carry the memories of the past forward.
When someone drags you from the wreckage when you have given in, ready to just lie there and die.
Now, this last one comes with a huge caveat, and I'll get into it soon, but for now, that's how it ends. With Mona's death, so too goes Max's inner turmoil. It's a satisfying, albeit pretty bleak resolution that fits for our damaged noir antihero, and it definitely didn't get retconned in any way, shape, or form. The end. Is what I would have ended on, but that's just the story's melodramatic, theme-appropriate ending. If this were a movie, the audience would rise and clap, tears in their eyes. But this isn't a movie. This is a video game, and in a video game, bad endings are temporary states while we figure things out. Again, I will probably do Max Payne 3 on its own, since it's worth talking about. But it is in fact so worth talking about that I'll get into it briefly. Rockstar follows in Remedy's footsteps to once again deliver an even more polished version of the same game, but with an updated story. The gameplay of Max Payne 3 is pristine, and you can debatably call it one of the best shooters of all time. The set pieces are grander, the stakes are higher, the flowery noir monologue and melodrama were cranked to 12 from the previous 11. So why does everybody else hate it? There are multiple reasons, but here are the objective ones. Unskippable cutscenes, we're not in New York anymore, an admittedly pretty fun multiplayer that's now barren, the dreaded Rockstar Social Club, and the melodrama that was cranked to 12. Oh yeah, our hero, Maximilian Payne, is still a drug addict, but with all new raving alcoholic tendencies. Playing him feels like strolling grandpa around in his wheelchair, as he laments his life, talks about questionable cooked-up war stories, and occasionally says something extremely racist. Okay, grandpa. Let's get you in a nice warm bed. No! Unlike Max Payne 2, there's very little levity, optional or not, so it takes away quite a bit of the fun you get from the amazing shooting. Yeah, that's it. Severe tonal whiplash. Despite all of this, I fucking love Max Payne 3. Bought it twice and played it a whole bunch. Before doing my research, I genuinely never understood what people's problems were, and having replayed it again for this video, I still don't. I mean, sure, I know the reasons now, and yeah, logging into the Socialist Club was a pain in the ass. Playing the game back-to-back or reloading chapters will make you hate those cutscenes, but there's mods for that now. They do crash your game though, if you skip the wrong one. So it's like House of the Dead, when a civilian pops out and if you kill him you lose points. But here, you lose between 2 and 10 hours of progress. The ultimate quick time event. So yeah, know that despite what I'm about to say, and it's not even that bad, I love Max Payne 3, while statistically, you don't. And with that, I think I've been stalling quite enough. There's some loose ends I left in here that need tying. I promised to blow your mind. I promised divergent timelines and agency in video games. I promised to save Max from his greatest enemy, himself. Here it is. Now, some wiki warriors probably knew about this without even playing the game, and that's fine, but I've done my homework. It's a game from my era, so I asked around. Nobody knew about this. I didn't know about this, and would have never found out if not for the autistic completionist disease. Difficulty in video games, especially back then, has been one of the worst thought out mechanics. Max Payne 2 can be very difficult, and a chore, even on Detective. Why would anybody subject themselves to that kind of torture? Yeah? You wouldn't, would you? And that's where the genius comes in. Because the true ending is tied to Dead on Arrival.
past is a gaping hole. Your only chance is to turn around and face it. But it's like kissing the lips of your dead love. Darkness waiting in the hole of your mouth. It was almost morning, waking up from the American dream. We are willing to suffer, to die for the things we care about, for love, for the right choices. Because of her, I had solved the case, my case, all of it, who I am. Is it worth it? Saying that it never is would be a lie. Sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes something good comes out of it, something you know you wouldn't deserve in a million years.
God, I turned out to be such a damsel in distress.
Something that gives you a reason to go on.
NYPD, freeze! Easy! Don't move! We need a paramedic team here. We have 2 survivors.
Mona survives. Max finally figures himself out, and outside of some typical self-hatred on his part, you get a good ending and closure for him. You hid this behind the 3rd playthrough? People barely finish the games once. Remedy, you absolute cringelords. Now, I built this thing up quite a bit, and I know there are takes roaming around from the big boys calling all of this just an Easter egg, or hand-waving it saying it doesn't fit, without going into it at all. I see all of this as an excuse not to think. I'm sorry, you can read your Wikipedia synopsis in a smooth, suave voice all you want, but if the developers put it in here, paid for the extra voice acting and graphics, then it has a point. I went on a legit 1-week Max Payne bender, looking for it. The works. Self-harm, drinking, self-hatred, drinking. All looking for every single way in which this ending is objectively inferior to the bad ending. Objectively, because subjectively, this is a romantic noir mystery thriller, baked with unreliable narrator, dream sequences, flowery dialogue, flowery writing, and the cook likes being meta a lot. It's very open-ended, but any conclusion you do reach, much like my armchair mad science literary project, will always be just interpretation. Trust me. So let's go back to talking objectively. There are 3 ways in which this ending affects the story from a pure structure and narrative point of view. 1. Is it cheap and/or contrived? No. The story's resolution does not need Mona to die to make sense. So from a story perspective, the only difference is that the bullet didn't kill her. So she got shot a few centimeters to the right. Who cares? Nobody asked. 2. Is it an inferior resolution to the story? No. And it's actually the better resolution in a specific case. From a narrative perspective, both endings work equally as good.
I had a dream of my wife. She was dead, but it was all right.
In the bad ending, Mona is a representation of Max's trauma. Her getting shot and dying causes Max to finally come to terms with his loss.
Because of her, I had solved the case, my case, all of it.
In the good ending, Max finally comes to terms with himself the moment all loose ends become tied. Mona survives as a new beginning, a point from which to start over. Again, you could probably spin a web to make any online conspiracy nut blush, because I did. But this video is running long, so I'll get to the point. The one important thing to mention is Max Payne 3. Max Payne 3 retcons the meaning of Max's final thoughts from the bad ending. It turns it from resolution to delusion. The game starts with him drinking his ass off, repeating the same nonsense over and over.
Maybe I'd lost my self-respect, but it's back. I'm excited.
Which means the bad ending from Max Payne 2 is no longer closure. It's a cliffhanger. So you can have your Max Payne 3 and retcon included, the story fits and is not forced, but that leaves the good ending of Max Payne 2 as the only one that concludes the character's arc in a satisfying manner. Good or bad. Which makes it the better ending for Remedy's Max Payne era. So all's well and good. From a linear narrative perspective, you can go with whatever you like and there's no wrong answers. But my third point is the doozy. The ultimate tiebreaker. Because a lot of people seem to forget a very important detail. Max Payne 2 is a fucking video game.
Sometimes something good comes out of it. Something you know you wouldn't deserve in a million years.
This isn't some cosmic forgiveness day. Max doesn't believe he deserves this because he didn't earn it. You did, by beating the game on Dead on Arrival. Most people play on Winnie Hut Jr. mode like watching a movie with a set ending. Mona dies, Max gets more trauma, and then you move on to Max Payne 3, where they decided that the little bit of hope you had that Max was at least at peace with himself was now cope. So he's fully justified in being a sad alcoholic fuck. Hell, people hit the bottle for a lot less. From the very beginning of the first game, Max has been doing nothing but taking the easy way out. Chasing his revenge, shoot first, ask questions later style. A loose cannon, unbeholden to the rules. Downing painkillers like they're M&Ms. He killed Winterson impulsively, a decision backed by nothing but his dick and loss aversion. One stupid mistake after another, while you, the player, can only sit there and watch. If you play into the game's themes and Max's fatalism, then sure, there is no choice. There are no dialogue options, there are no hidden rooms or branching paths. You're helplessly watching as the story unfolds towards tragedy. But you're not beholden to the story's rules. You're an agent of chaos. You think Max would be teabagging corpses as Vlad's having an existential crisis?
Why don't you just die? You hate life. You're miserable all the time. Afraid to enjoy yourself even a little.
So Remedy did something genius. Max keeps taking the easy way out and running into failure, but maybe you can save him. Master the game's mechanics and challenges. Play it 3 times the completion. Minimal save files, minimal permissible mistakes. You got Max covering that angle, so you can't afford to anymore. Do the hard work that he avoids. We're letting you break the cycle if you persevere. They tell you in the fucking exit screen. Wake up, Max. You're in a fucking video game. He clearly doesn't know what's good for him, so you pick him up by the scruff of his neck and make him do it again, but properly this time. Imagine calling a hidden good ending given as a reward for playing more of the game unfitting. Imagine you get the game over in a CRPG because your party died and go, well, guess that's how it ends. How tragic. Insanity. It's probably one of the best meta endings of all time, and I genuinely can't think of other examples of this off the top of my head. Tying the good ending behind mastering the game? There are a lot of games that do new stuff in NG Plus or subsequent playthroughs, but in 2003, when developers were scrambling to dumb down their games to make sure nobody misses an iota of content, Remedy was like, nah, we're not even gonna tell you it's there. You're gonna find out when you play more eventually. So where does that leave Max Payne 3? Well, it's not really going anywhere, but here's my proposal. Considering it's not Remedy and its status as the black sheep of the trilogy, I will personally be retroactively downgrading it to Rockstar fanfiction territory. It's not real, you guys. It never happened. It's a bad lucid dream brought on by being an impatient gamer that's afraid of a challenge. It's still a really good game that's worth playing, but I see it as an alternative universe, or a diverging timeline, where Max didn't take the opportunity to stop being a failure. What if you will. You can say he also gets his redemption there too, so it's not all misery all the time forever, but with that haircut, was it worth it? No. I'd rather have my femme fatale waifu, thanks. There's so much more I could have gone through. Max Payne is pretty clear cut, but Max Payne 2 is extremely open-ended. There's so many directions you can go in with the interpretation, it's legitimately insane, but you know what? That's a good reason for you to go play it. Come up with your own mad science projects. It's great. Related media. So this was inspired by movies, so go watch movies. The Matrix, Raid Redemption, and any 3 John Woo movies. Do Hard Boiled, A Better Tomorrow, and Face Off for some decent variety. What you will not do is watch the tie-in movie.
What? No!
Actually, do one better, and shame people that insist it's decent. We'll make it like a pyramid scheme. You all go shaming people for liking shit movies, and then each find 3 other people to go shaming too. Instruct them to do the same. Statistically, we'll have made half the population of the planet cry within 1 week. Video games. Max Payne 3 is great. If not for the melodrama, then at least for the gameplay. I will cover it later, but if after watching this video your erection does not subside within 4 hours and just 1 and 2 won't do it for you, then you have to go play it. Source? I made it up. You can also check out everything that Remedy has ever made. God bless them for not being bought out and dead after releasing 3 pathetic phone remakes. Playing some of their mindfuck games will also reinforce the point I made in Act 3. Remedy likes weird meta shit, and I can 100% guarantee, since they never confirmed it one way or another, that someone was thinking what I was saying during development. Speaking of remakes, developers sure like taking originals off store shelves when the remake comes out. Max Payne 1 and 2 remake is around the corner, so if you don't want to fuck around on questionable Russian websites or sell your kidneys on eBay, you might want to buy them now while they're cheap. I can't speak for everyone, since everyone can be dumb. But if you're into retro, Max Payne 1 and 2 hold up fantastically well, and if you're not, they're still fun games that make you think. Shooter games in general, but especially third-person ones, together with general video game writing philosophy, would not be the same if not for them. I don't think they're going anywhere, one way or another. Max Payne is huge, but you never know. I mean, fucking Unreal Gold is gone. Maybe nothing is sacred anymore. Next time, I'm doing Metro Last Light. Because you won't shut up about it. And with that, I'll see you next time.
Before bullet time was everywhere, Max Payne made it hurt, a hard-boiled third-person shooter wrapped in neo-noir tragedy, told like a graphic novel. The slow-mo dives still feel slick, and the mood is pure midnight rain. Levels can feel samey, and the old-school difficulty, spikes don't mess around. If you want style, story, and classic Remedy grit, play it. Score, 8.5/10.